Alrighty. Hello and welcome to GGLIRL, the new podcast brought to you by GGLeagues, in which we go behind the scenes or behind the screens of the people involved in GGLeagues. Today's guest is Jordan Subia from Hardin-Simmons University. How you doing, Jordan?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I am all right. Really just kind of getting through what we're doing right now, but really interested to kind of hear about you, kind of your role as a student coach, and obviously more about Hardin-Simmons University esports and everything. So why don't we kind of first start off by just introducing yourself, like name, student, school, major, anything else you want to kind of add in there.
Yeah, cool. I am Jordan Subia, named the Nautical online and stuff. I go to Hardin-Simmons University, located in Abilene, Texas. I am a first-year grad student for clinical counseling, and I also play AD carry for our League of Legends team. HSU esports started about, I would say like 3 or 4 years ago. I was actually one of the starting members, but we just never gained traction really. And here recently, one of our current president actually picked it back up and ran with it, and we got school funding and everything. So this is our first technical year of actually being an on-campus thing. So this is we have I believe 3 or 4 teams currently competing in things. We have a Siege team, we have a COD team, we have a Smash team, we have a League team, and then we are looking at trying to expand into Overwatch next semester.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. So out of those 3 or 4 years that you've been with the esports, in some degree, how many of those years were you a coach?
Actually, this is when we first tried to start, I was a player coach, and then we just ended up like cutting it just because we all didn't really have time. And then when it got picked up again, our current president approached me about starting a league team, and I said that I would do that in some capacity, whether that was playing for the team or coaching. And I ended up adopting both of the roles actually. So yeah, so I'd say about at least 2 years worth of coaching experience, somewhat.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear and everything. So yeah, in this case, the team that you're on right now, are you also the coach for that team?
Yes, I split coaching duties with another remote coach that we found here pretty recently,
Oh,
and yeah, and so I do more of like he's remote. He's from Wisconsin. We just kind of
cool.
found him. Our president wanted us to have another coach as well, so put out the old Reddit post, and we got some guy, and he's really cool. He's awesome. He VOD reviews for us, puts together like documents and stuff. So I split about that. He does most of the VOD stuff, and I'll help him, and then I do more of like the in-person coaching stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. So then I guess with that remote coach, was he just kind of like like freelance coaching? Was he sort of like an ex pro player or something like that, ex collegiate?
I'm actually not really sure. He just kind of came up and was like, "Hey, I've had a little bit of coaching experience. I'm in a job currently that I'm trying to get better at coaching, and this is just something that seemed like a good opportunity for me if y'all would give me a chance." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, totally." And he completely blew all of my expectations out of the water. Like he's gone way above and beyond anything that I've asked him to do. So I was like, "All right, sweet, cool, that's
Gotcha.
awesome."
Cool. Yeah, that's good to hear. And so with that, I know you talked about how, you guys sort of split duties in terms of like he does more of the VODs and everything, you do more of the in-person coaching. Do both of you guys do draft or is that only you?
Um, I try to do draft most of the time. I have recently implemented in our team just due to the fact that I'm a grad student and I don't have as much time as I normally would if I was an undergrad. But I normally try to give like specific roles to each player on the team. Like for example, uh, one week, one of our top laner, for example, will be in charge of vision, and he'll before we play the match, we'll sit down for an hour and he'll talk about, vision, where are some good places to ward and stuff like that around objectives. And then I have another player do scouting for the other team. So I try to make coaching like a team wide thing. Like I'm still the head coach and I still have priority over decisions and such, but I would much rather, kind of train the next coach, and like I can look and see who will be a good fit for head coach when I finally like graduate and move on.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's exciting. That's actually really cool to hear that you're giving kind of your players that power, or kind of sharing that responsibility of that. So, yeah, obviously, you don't see a lot of that in teams, even in professional teams. So, I think that's really cool that you're doing that. And so, being the player coach and everything, obviously being a player on the team, but then also acting as a coach as well. What are the kind of the ups and downs of that?
Yeah, for sure, obviously. Some of the ups and stuff is I can definitely, since I'm in game with them and playing, and I'm also focusing on my role. I kind of get the sense of, sometimes even the things that I say, like go in one ear and go out the other, especially, think I'm not always thinking like 100% on where I should be warding or where I should be in the lane or like what we're gonna do in a couple minutes. Like I play AD carry, so I'm literally like right clicking and praying to God that my team peels for me type thing. Yeah, basically. So it's I feel like an upside is I can understand like, okay, if they're not doing exactly what I tell them to do like in the pregame, it's not their fault. Like they're thinking about like 70 other things at once. And so it kind of gives me a good perspective into a player's mind. And some of the downs is especially early on in our teamship, I guess is the correct word for that. We'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. We weren't communicating the best, and it's really hard to be an effective team when you're not communicating well. So, getting tilted and being upset and like getting angry and saying things or like tilting your other teammates, like, that's some of the things that like I would do and like I would get done to me. And so it's like discouraging because you're doing the same thing that you're telling your players not to do. So it's kind of you have to lead by example, and if you're setting a good example, that's fine. But if you're setting a bad example, then it's not gonna work.
Yeah, no, I totally get you and everything. Um, and so, I mean, with this, I know you talk about a lot of your experience, acting as a player, but then also being a coach. In your previous experience, have you ever been like just a coach, or have you always been a player coach?
I've pretty much always been a player coach. The only time I've ever not done that is like when I'm trying to coach just like other teammates and stuff like that through like doing a VOD review with them. In that particular aspect, I'm just being a coach. Or well, I forgot to mention this in my whole little intro thing, but since I'm a counseling grad student, I would really like to eventually like maybe be a sports psychologist and like
Wow,
work
yeah,
with esports teams and stuff like that. So like the Weldon Greens of the world, like that's kind of
for sure, yeah.
that would be like something that I would really enjoy doing. And so I actually do mental coaching for the other teams in the Hardin-Simmons esports.
Okay,
I Yeah, I just do normal coaching for league because you're not supposed to like counsel people that you like play with, and I
yeah,
do
makes sense.
mental yeah, and I do mental coaching for everyone else because I'm at least like friendly, but I don't know them and play with them intimately enough to where it's like anything I say is going to hurt them really.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I guess with that mental coaching thing, whether it has been kind of like indirectly with your own teammates on the league team, or talking to any of the other players on the other teams at Hardin Simmons, have you ever found like any like difficult moments or like conflicts with like people? Like if you kind of say like, hey, maybe you weren't doing this one thing right at this one moment, and they kind of like really disagree with you, or kind of like really give you a lot of backlash. Have you ever had to kind of deal with that?
Not super particular, just because of the type of way that I'm being taught how to like counsel and talk to people. It just kind of I let them kind of take me where they need to go. And if I do say something like out of like context or like something like that, I just assure them that I'm like, hey, I know League of Legends really well. I don't know the intricacies of competitive COD. So if I
Yeah.
say something wrong, like feel free to educate me on the like on the correct thing, or like can you do this certain thing? Like cuz I have a good basis of understanding of all of the games at Hardin Simmons. I could play them, just not to the level of like a collegiate level. So I just try to, let the conversation go where it needs to go and just be like, all right, if I say something wrong, like just tell me. I'm a person.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I guess with that, even maybe specifically on like the league team, because that's where you're kind of acting as that player coach. Like I guess solo queue rank wise, are you the highest ranked person on your team?
I think At the end of last season, I was not. Currently, I might be, but I'm not 100% sure. Our other like my assistant coach here technically is a higher rank than me.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I guess I was just wondering when it comes to, if you ever had to, especially even on your own team, kind of try to coach someone or even point out mistakes to someone who is like, let's say maybe like a rank or two or even a division or two, kind of higher than you. Has there ever been any kind of like a feel of like it's hard to coach them because it's like they're technically higher ranked than you or anything?
No, I think it's because I think mainly I don't have that issue just because one, I'm the oldest on the team, being a grad student, and two, I've been playing since season 3, so I I have seniority over pretty much everyone else on the team. Everyone else on the team has only been playing for like maybe 4 years plus, give or
Gotcha.
take like one or two people. So I have been playing this game, almost religiously for 8 years. So I pretty much outrank everyone. So everyone pretty much kind of goes with what I say to an extent.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. I gotcha. Cool. Okay. And so I guess kind of going back to more like the kind of bigger picture and everything, working with your team and working with the remote coach you work with and everything, like what's kind of like typical like practice routine or schedule that, you guys do for the league team?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have two practice days. We have to work around match days of the other teams and practice schedules of the other teams. But we practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And normally, what we do is during the weekend, I say, "Hey guys, we have a match against this person this Tuesday for GG Leagues." One person is in charge of going onto the website, finding the usernames of the people who are playing, and doing player research for them. Someone else is in charge of helping me set up the draft, being like, okay, so we have the player research guy. What are they good at? What champions are they playing? Are there one tricks? Are there things other than the OPs we need to ban? Just kind of stuff like that. And then we we get there at 7 and we play at 9. So we have like roughly 2 hours before. So we get there at 7. We warm up, play some ARAMs, kind of do whatever, like
Yeah.
just kind of relax. And then we have a giant window that we use as our whiteboard right now, just because we don't have one yet.
Yeah.
And so we write out like, okay, like this is what our pick phase is gonna look like. Like these are the things that we're gonna try to get. These are the things we're gonna try to ban. Okay, this is a realistic team comp that we could draft. Like, what are our win conditions? What do we need to do? Are we playing for late game? Okay, then we need to make sure we remind ourselves of that when we get in game. Like, even if we just type it in chat, like we do not need to fight until 2 items or whatever.
Hmm.
And then we get into a custom lobby, and we have our mid laner and our top laner lane against each other in mid lane, just so
Oh,
that way they get one-on-one experience. We have our bot lane play on the bot side, or play bot lane normal. So I mainly focus on last hitting and stuff like that, just basic AD carry stuff. And then my support works on warding, and then we have our jungler on the other team with the top laner, and he just works on like pathing, and then he'll try to gank, and then he'll like go to a bush or something and be like, okay, I would come gank you right now if I was the enemy jungler.
yeah.
And so it just kind of helps us get ward timings down and stuff like that, and gives us some like good experience on how to play out like certain objectives, or when do we need to switch and stuff like that. So it was just kind of something that I thought of kind of on the fly, and it's worked out for us. It kind of calms nerves, and you know it feels nice to beat up on some minions every once in a while.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's actually a really cool thing you kind of made up there. Kind of utilizing the five mans, but in a custom game in your own kind of way and everything. They work on their own individual thing. So, yeah, I think that's really kind of like great to hear and everything. It's really innovative and all that stuff. And so you said you guys practice Tuesday, Thursday, 7 to 9.
Yes.
Gotcha, gotcha. Cool. And then I assume you guys practice in person then.
Yes, we do. We have a little space.
Cool, cool. That's really awesome. And then so I guess when it comes to your coaching, kind of going back to the bigger picture, and whether it is kind of talking about pre-game or post-game, or even kind of during in-game, you specifically, like, do you focus more on like the more macro side of the game, or do you try to really work with players to refine some of the more like micro stuff like mechanics and everything?
I would say I'm more of a macro type person. I generally look at like the bigger picture, like, okay, uh, Herald is coming up. Are we going to swap for that, or are we not going to swap for that? Why? What is the reasoning behind our decision? Are we going to try to 1-4-1? Are we going to 3-2? Like, just what are we going to do? Like, I generally try to make like Baron calls and Dragon calls and stuff like that, along with like our jungler. And everyone on the team has a voice. No one is like completely shut out, but most of the time it's more of a democratic type calling. And then I leave the micro stuff of like mechanics and stuff like that up to each individual person, and
Okay.
doing VOD reviews and stuff like that, just to kind of, give everyone a chance to do what they need to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally get you and everything. All right. So, throughout your about 2+ years of coaching experience, like, tell me about a time when you've had like a really, it was just like a really difficult situation, whether it was like working with like a really difficult person, maybe trying to pull a team out of a slump, or even just having trouble with communication. Like, have you had any kind of instances where you've had any instance where you've had to really kind of just like a bunker down?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. We actually had that at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, this is our first year of being a team. We practiced and played like custom fives and stuff like that last semester, but this was our first real semester of, okay, we are in a league. We're in the GG League. We're in a league, and we are going to be competing against other people coming soon. And so I was looking at the teams on the GG Leagues, and I was like, okay, well, we don't play this team for quite a while when the season starts. And this was before the season had started. So I was like, I'll contact the other team's coach, and I'll try to set up a scrim, and we can play like a best of three and, do whatever. Bear in mind, we had only played against randoms on, on blind pick or whatever,
Yeah.
or draft pick, and we hadn't really, we hadn't played an actual team. Like,
Hmm.
that was just something that we didn't have access to at the time, and we just hadn't. And so we played one of the teams in our division, and we just got like freaking wrecked. Like,
Oh man.
we lost in like 23 minutes, like almost every game. We, our lanes were losing, or they would be losing, or it would just be even. We weren't making any map plays. We barely had any vision. Like, it was just, I wouldn't even say that the other team won. We just straight lost.
Oh man.
Yeah, but not taking any away from them, because they were a good team. But it was
For sure.
just, yeah, we just straight up lost. And so one of our players was like, uh, I don't even want to play anymore. He's like, we have no communication. Like,
Wow.
we literally lost. Like, we let them win. We didn't even play. And he's like, so I would much rather not play and transition into a pure coaching role. And I said, okay, I understand. I will, this is the first time we've actually played a team. So I'll give you like a week. And then if this is still your decision, like, let me know. And he was like, all right, sounds good. And one of our other players had reached out to him and was like, hey, like, I get it. Like, this sucks, but, that's no reason to like quit the team type thing. And so we all got conquered down, and he ended up staying. And it was the week before GGLeagues started. We got down for an entire practice day, so from 7 to 9, and we said, "All right, look, we can't afford to, like, it's a good thing that that happened before the league started, because if that happened during the league start, like, or like anytime during the league, like, it would suck, because like we're having to do this now." But I was like, it's a good thing that this happened now. And we sat down for that entire practice day, and we hashed out like, what is our communication going to be like, who at that point it was like, all right, we're going to straight up give up. We're going to give roles now. It's like, all right, jungler, you are in charge of like the map plays and calling for when we're going to do dragon, when we're going to do baron. It's like our mid laner, you're in charge of working with our jungler to get vision. Top lane, you're in charge of like when you want to call for a TP flank, like you are the one who calls where TP is going. Just like very rigid structured communication.
Yeah.
And that's just where it had to start out. And now it's gotten to the point where everyone makes calls, everyone, has a voice and stuff like that. But that was our biggest kind of like blow up moment to be like, okay, we can't just be better than the other people across from us and expect to win. Like we're going to play against people who are equal skill level, and we have to be able to outplay them. We can't just outlane them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Wow. All right, yeah, I mean that was certainly quite a story and everything. Just like right off the bat, before the league even starts, already kind of a player calling the quits and everything. But okay. Yeah, and so I mean, I think from our conversation so far today, I think I've really noticed, a really trend. Correct me if I'm wrong, but of you really focusing on, basically, delegating stuff to each member of your team, and essentially sort of, making them feel important by, saying that you're responsible for, X, Y, and Z and everything. And so, when it comes to coaching and everything, just more broadly, do you feel like, I guess, what do you feel is like the most important like aspect of coaching to like make it successful?
Yeah, that's actually a good question that I haven't really thought of. But just, having this podcast and looking back on all of like the coaching stories or like other things, I think it's important to at least make it seem like you're hearing your players. Like don't just completely mute yourself to their comments and concerns and stuff. And sometimes they're the ones in the trenches, so they know best. It's important that you don't kind of like power trip yourself and be, I'm the coach, I have the final say. It doesn't matter what you think. I don't care that you're playing the game or whatever. It definitely needs to be a more of collaborative type thing with, but there needs to be structure in that collaboration. It doesn't need to be everyone just throwing out ideas of what they want to play or what we should be doing as a team, but it definitely should be collaborative.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the idea of collaborative and anything. Um, And I guess with that, obviously you guys work together, you guys play as a team together and play League of Legends and everything. But, is there any kind of like other things like you guys do as a team to like maybe like help build team morale, help build kind of like team bonding? Because I know, teams in the past have, gotten dinner together. They've done like other like activities together. Do you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, we haven't as much as of late, but when we first started, we would try to hang out and stuff and get team dinners. And we also I mental coach for the rest of the teams. One of our other players plays on two of the other teams,
Mhm.
and then I think that's it. So we're all really ingrained into the concept of esports at Hardin-Simmons, and
Yeah.
so I normally mental coach, and I uh, run brackets for all of the run events or come like officiate or cast and stuff like that. So we kind of all do things within the realm of esports together. So that's kind of how our team morale has kind of like
Yeah,
grown.
cool. And actually, wait, when you said you mentioned you had a player who you said that that player also is on two other teams.
Yes.
Are they two different teams in like different esports? I assume.
Yes, he plays League of Legends, he plays COD for our COD team, and then he plays Smash.
Wow. And so I guess with that, because that actually kind of raises a good question of, I guess have you ever had trouble managing that player in terms of like committing their time to like, I guess spreading their time throughout different esports?
No, I told him the other teams have different policies, and it's something that our whole esports conglomerate is looking at kind of changing in our constitution in the coming semesters and stuff. But I told him, I was like, hey, I was like, you, as long as you improve or you stay at a consistent level as what you're at right now, I don't care how much time you devote to the other games. But like our 7 to 9 practices, especially on the game day, like that is our time. That's not only my time, that's the team's time. And if you can't what's it called? If you can't make that, or that can't be a commitment that you can commit to, that's totally fine. I'm not going to hold it against you, but you can't have a place on my team because I can't have, me and 3 other guys giving 100% and you only giving like 70.
Yeah.
It's not going to work like that. But he's been like one of our best performing players of the split, so I'm like, all right, you play your other games. I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm not sure, what the time commitment is for his other two teams, but being on three teams and everything, and certainly having to commit to that. I mean, that's sure. I can't imagine, the amount of time he has to commit to that. So, certainly props to him for still kind of hanging in there and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So, with this and everything, and in light of all the recent events, all with the coronavirus, and like universities are just closing down, going online, all this kind of number of stuff. It's like they keep popping up every day on my Twitter feed and everything.
Yeah.
And so, really quick, if you feel comfortable, kind of disclosing this, where are you guys right now in terms of Hardin-Simmons in terms of the state of the coronavirus?
Yeah, sure, totally. I don't know if there has been any cases in Abilene as of yet. I know a couple of people have self-quarantined, and I know that there have been talks. The high schools around here, I think, are continuing class or at least canceling for like 2 or 3 more days. The job that I work currently goes off of one of the high schools here, and we are pushing spring break until this coming Friday or this coming Thursday. But after that, I'm not sure. Hardin-Simmons has gone on doing an extra week of spring break and then transferring to online only classes until at least April, pending any change in the thing. But that's pretty much where we are currently here in Abilene.
Yeah, for sure. And so, whether it is because of the specific situation or just in general, trying to essentially be a coach for a team that really can't meet in person or that wouldn't be able to meet in person typically, I guess, what do you feel is sort of going to be the most like difficult thing, with these kind of like next few weeks and everything, and basically trying to coach the team online and everything? What do you think is going to be the most difficult thing?
Oh man, probably just it's gonna really come down to how motivated we stay, because it's so much easier to motivate people and like see if people are really ready to play on a game day when you can see them. It's very difficult to just tell in the tone of someone's voice just regularly, not to mention like coming through a mic, like what's the mic quality like type stuff thing. It's so difficult to tell if someone's like really motivated to go and play on a certain day. So I think that's the biggest struggle. And just kind of like we've had a routine of like the things we do, like when we get there on game day, like before we start anything, we have this thing. We're on the ground floor of the building. That's where our room is. And there's an elevator right next to our door that we take up, and there's like a little snack bar type thing that our university runs. And so we'll go and we'll make a team wide trip to that snack bar and like load up on drinks and like
Nice. Yeah.
snacks or whatever before, and then we start. So it's just like the the typical like habit forming things are things that we're no longer going to be able to do because we're not here, unless everyone just gets on Discord on their phone and says, all right guys, we're going to Walmart. Just
Yeah, no, for sure.
go the closest Walmart to you. Hopefully they have like beef jerky or something.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, best of luck to your team in kind of these next coming weeks and everything. Yeah, and then I guess that'll kind of do it in terms of what I have and everything. Is there anything else that you want to say kind of before we close it up here?
um no, not really. Just honestly, this is a really cool concept. I like that you're starting a podcast. Funny story about the signing up for the podcast thing real quick. I actually did not expect to be on a podcast. I saw it like late at night while I was, hanging out with my girlfriend, and I was like, "Oh, this would be kind of funny." And so I just kind of responded, and then 5 minutes later, it was my name was one of the ones that was picked, and I was like, oh God, what am I gonna talk about? I don't
Well,
know what
yeah,
to do.
no, it's all right. That's why I got you got in here. Unfortunately, our other scheduled guest, Danny Green from Heartland Community College, wasn't able to attend this one. So, this was a little bit more personable, being more of like a one-on-one thing. But assuming that we kind of do another episode and everything like that, the intention is to have another kind of like player coach on here, just to get another perspective and hopefully some talking between you guys and everything. But honestly, for our first pilot and everything, you did absolutely fabulous.
Thank
Kind of
you.
answering your questions and everything, and it was really interesting to hear about your story, kind of Hardin-Simmons, and just the general esports culture that you got around you and everything. So, with that, we are going to wrap this up and everything. So, thank you all for listening to our first pilot episode of Ggl-Irl. If there's something that you want to kind of see more in the future, give the video a like, subscribe to your YouTube channel, and leave a leave a name in the comments of who you want to kind of see on this for next time. But other than that, especially with all the coronavirus stuff going on with universities and just generally the esports and the whole world, I wish everyone the best of luck with continuing, whether it's school, personal stuff, and obviously with their esports teams. Stay healthy, stay safe, and have a great night.